Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is Dr. Daniel Knowles, your host. Thank you for joining us, and thank you in advance for joining us at Mile High each year. Next Mile High will be August 15th to 18th, 2019. You can register at www.milehighchiroregistration.com. You want to do that today, and you can use the podcast savings code MHPodcast. You can listen to this on YouTube, on iTunes, on Facebook, all over. And actually, we're seeing this downloaded in seven countries and all around the world. So share it with your friends, share it with your favorite chiropractors and chiropractic students so they can get more spizzed up about chiropractic. And today, we're going to be focusing on and introducing one of my good friends, and a very special guest and very dear friend to Mile High. Many call him the Oracle of the Berkshires, and he has done so much good for chiropractic and also was one of the main inspirations for Mile High Podcast and for Mile High event. So we are really close to him in terms of following what he does to help us do a better job, because he does such a great job with the event that he holds, which is none other than Scott Garber, who hosts the Berkshires Philosophy Experience, now called the Berkshires Experience. We updated the name. And so welcome to the podcast, Dr. Scott Garber.
Hey, Danny, thanks for having me. And I really appreciate the kind words. And, it's interesting, listening to you talk about, the Berkshires and Mile High. I've always kind of been in the mindset that, get something going and then somebody more brilliant comes along and actually just builds off of that. And, that's what Mile High really reminds me of. And thank you for the kudos and the acknowledgement of kind of starting that out and following the lead. But I got to say, each year that I go to Mile High, I can see the growth, right? The growth as you grow as an individual, as a person, is really reflective of what we're seeing at Mile High. And it makes me excited to be part of it, to look at what you're doing and how you're growing and your vision and what you've put into it. And then coming back and saying, you know what? How could we now, then again, looking at what Danny and Rochelle did and his team, how could we actually even add on to that and bring better quality of programming, great, sponsors and vendors and speakers and information back. And, my hat off to you, because you've been able to do that. You just added in so many ways. And when I look back at the development of Mile High, I see such a big difference in the organization of it and the wonderful things that you do. So kudos to you and Rochelle and your team for really, again, just uplifting. And, I like this, slogan, the rising tide lifts all ships.
Yes.
And, that's what it's kind of felt like. So thanks for being part of the rising tide.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. And I really appreciate it. And I really do mean you inspired more out of me. And it's good we have these pockets of organizations in the chiropractic profession, of anchors to help people get connected to chiropractic, because there's less of that elsewhere, less of that in the schools, for example, than we would like to see. So to overall worldwide. So it's really good for all of us to lift each other up and help lift chiropractic up, because that's what I know what you're all about. So talking about that a little bit more, and before I ask you more, more in depth, let's just remind people they can register for the Berkshires at www.tickevent.com. And what's the dates again?
The dates are March 21st to the 23rd.
Yep.
And
it's a new location, right?
Yeah, it's in a new location. We have moved to Williamstown. It's known as historic Williamstown. It's where Williamstown College is. Williamstown College actually owns the Williams Inn. And again, we're putting it together with the same type of theme where it's one big family. We'll be eating together in groups together. Thursday night, I'm taking everybody out into town. We rented buses. In fact, we did that today, and taking everybody back to J Spice. I think you'd been there for that. It's always a crowd favorite. Things are really starting to come along, and this is down to the wire now because we literally got about another 5 or 6 weeks and we're there.
And this is to also tell people this is we're helping out or supporting the IFCO. So we'll talk a little bit about the IFCO, but join us at the Berkshires, tickevent.com, the weekend of March 21st. It's the place to be. I have to say, you get such connections out of it, and so many great presentations and great people. And we know Jack Borla is known for his hallway talks, and that also makes the event extra special. Now, let's talk about the chiropractic landscape overall and what inspired you to take the steps to put on the Berkshires.
Danny, to be quite honest, it wasn't something that I dreamed up one night and said, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to, put money here, and it was all an evolution. I was on a podcast last week where I was talking about, the first time I ever did the Berkshires, I forgot to put bathroom breaks in it. It was a one-day event. Somebody came up to me about 8 hours later and said, hey, we ever going to get to pee over here? I was like, oh, okay. I'll put that in for next year. But I got to say, and you know me pretty well, people visit my house, my wife and I, look, if it's family, if it's friends, whoever it is, we've always been giving and hospitable with regards to, when people come to my event, I want it to feel like family. And I did it the first year at the Crown Plaza. And it was embarrassing, people walking around with stains on their white shirts and little bow ties. I actually had, that day it was a one-day event, so I had them actually go ahead and make sandwiches, and they were noisy while they were setting it up in the back of the room. And then at the end, Danny, you wouldn't believe it, the whole table collapsed, like hair sandwiches all over the place. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like this is so embarrassing. And then, they would turn on the heat. It would get too hot. They turn on the air conditioner to cool it off. And it just wasn't, what I wanted, people to actually to experience.
I got to say, you sound like that story of Walt Disney, where he took his daughter to the amusement park and he sat on some gum and there was sticky cotton candy, and he's like, this is not the experience my daughter to have, and he dreamed up Disney World. That's what this just reminded me of.
Yeah. And that's what it was. And then it's just been a total evolution, like I know on your part is, because you did the same thing one year. How could we highlight more women and get women on stage? What could we do to, simplify the whole process of, the complaints of people don't want to be sold to, how do we work with that? Then it was, the evolution of, how do we give money back to the profession? And so it's been through so many different evolutions of trying to kind of hear the needs of what people really want.
Right.
Based around, having them as my family for the weekend, and how could we continue to actually do better for the profession in delivering better content, in not making these one of these experiences where people say, I went all week and it was a pitch fest and, it was a spiz event and I got 20 minutes of rah, 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 rah. And so the need that I saw was to be accountable to go ahead and deliver. And I became, a custodian for people's money and knew that I had to deliver on that. Because again, these were my guests, right? And that's what the needed.
I want to add something to that, and that I see in the Berkshires and in also your actions, which is that Yes, I feel the same way when I'm putting on an event or any of the other programs I do, that I'm a custodian to the person's money. I think you go beyond that. I also think you know that you're a custodian to chiropractic,
Right.
and that part of it is you don't want an event. Yes, treat everybody like family. That's a core value for you. It is for me. And I know when I go to the Berkshires, I feel like I'm community. I feel like I'm coming home. I feel like I'm seeing family. Seeing great friends. And I feel at home, even regardless of what location it is. But I also know in my heart, when I go register and decide to attend, that you are putting in material, like you said, that's not just a rah-rah fest or a pitch fest. I never
Right.
felt like it's a pitch fest. I've gone to other programs, and I won't name what they are, but I totally felt that way, right? You don't feel like that. You feel like someone has done something good for chiropractic and putting on this, and it's lifts up chiropractic as a whole, as well as who you select as speakers. So I think you're a custodian for TIC when you put on the Berkshires.
Yeah. And you know, Danny, what I've really come up with all of these years, you know, look, we have a lot of the same speakers. You know, I have great speakers, and you know, every time I listen to an event, they say, you know, it's the greatest lineup, the greatest speakers. Well, the truth is, you know, the only one that I see anybody doing outside of what, you know, we're doing, you know, is definitely the camp, the summer camp, and getting people like Jay Abraham coming in and catering towards that. And but what I really found, and what I think, you know, even your daughter Anika said, you know, Dad, you know, she went to the Cranwell and it was the castle, and she says, oh, Dad, you got to work harder. Scott Garber's event is great. And what I really got, yeah, you worked hard that year at Mile High. Back. But you know what I really get is a lot of the people that are showing back up, and you know, me with your event, is Danny, it's family. You know, I love
Yep.
being there. I love seeing Donnie and your wife and Rochelle and the kids. You know, I love seeing all the people that have kind of created that community.
Right.
And that
Right.
at the end of the day, you know, I think that, you know, you could do CE credits online, but I really try to make it so that way it really feels and has that feeling of, you know what, hey, we're a big family, and the bonuses is that you get to learn a lot, right?
Right. Right.
Um, you get to get your CE credits if that's what it is. But, you know, I really have kind of moved towards, you know, I really want people to come and have a great time. My wife does a great job with planning events, our famous hat parties, and taking people to Jay Spice out for the evening, showing them a part of the Berkshires. So it's kind of what we're focusing on again this year is
Hmm.
once we have these people here, they know most of these speakers. I give them enough time and the platform to do it, as do you. But I really want to have people have a great experience. You know, that's why I really wanted to come back.
Well, yes, and at the same time, that's why I know when I decide to register for the Berkshires, which I do every year before I leave. I don't even know who's speaking. It doesn't matter, because I have trust in what you put together,
Right.
from past experience. I know it will be outstanding, and I can't say that about everything in chiropractic for sure. Um, let's talk about why uh, why the IFCO? Why is that an organization that's important in chiropractic?
Well, you know, as far as having a voice and a political action committee and the work that they've done, you know, and also look at a transparency, you know, Liam is in a tremendous, you know, a friend of mine, and he's done so much. You know, I was having a great conversation with Jen Steinberg the other night. I said, you know, when Liam tells me something and I disagree, I look at it and say, you know what? I have to trust, because Liam always has, you know, the best of heart and intention in everything that he does.
Right.
You know, when I've been bitter at things, he said, well, Scott, you know, we really need this, you know, consider this. And it's like, you know, that's great. But what I really get from Liam is that his heart is in the right place. He's always done things, with Sherman, with the IFCO. And, because it was his first year, at the helm of being the president, I really wanted to show my support for him and the work that the IFCO was doing. And, to really be able to fund that organization. And let me tell you, Danny, and I'm really excited about this because it goes one step further. We recognized that, our Mexican colleagues and Latin America really couldn't come to these events because of the cost and the dollar so powerful compared to the Mexican peso. And we wanted them to have exposure. Aram Gomez
Yes.
is doing an amazing job in Latin America, bringing principal chiropractic. He's speaking this year at the Berkshires, and Aram and I had a conversation. Liam got involved with it, and we said, you know what? How could we support Mexico? How could we support the colleges? And this year we have 3 university presidents coming together at the Berkshires, right? Because of IFCO, who's actually footing the bill for that. In getting there and we waived their fees and supported them in, financially with getting hotels and things like that. And I gotta say, we're going to have a lot of presidents of colleges this year at the Berkshires, and I'm just so inspired by the whole idea of IFCO jumping in and saying, you know what, we have to have a greater voice there. We have to support people like Aram, and they put their money where their mouth is, and so I can only stand behind that.
Yes. And I have to say, in being part of the chiropractic education scenery for the last several years via Sherman College, and seeing things going on in the chiropractic profession, teaching students, organizations such as the IFCO, such as Oklahaven, who you supported last year, ICPA, you did another year, are more important than ever in chiropractic, especially the IFCO. We need to have an organization internationally. And this is the only international organization that focuses on subluxation as the reason why we exist, subluxation and the adjustment as an organization. While you have organizations, minimizing subluxation and the adjustment and making that the side thing as compared to the reason why we exist.
Hey, by the way, before I forget, congratulations actually on the ribbon cutting the other day over Chairman. And, I sincerely want to thank you. I know that you put in a tremendous amount of time and effort as a trustee there, and, along with Liam and, the other trustees, Peter, and really did, a phenomenal job in actually taking that vision and making it a reality. And so, hey, thanks so much, Danny, for the work that you did and stepping up and doing that. And Mile High, the same thing. I mean, I know why you got started and all that was going on in Colorado, and your vision was, let's get people hooked in. And, it takes a visionary, and not only a visionary, but somebody like you to come along and implement and do what you did. I mean, it's phenomenal. When I come to Mile High, again, I watched you start, I watched you crawl, I watched you walk, and this year you'll be running.
Well, thank you for saying that. And Sherman, it's an act of love for chiropractic and for humanity that will be impacted by that, really. And you mentioned Dr. Schubel. I will tell you, he deserves so much credit for Sherman's progress, because none of that would have transpired if it was not for Liam Schubel. And yes, it as everything, it's a team for sure. And there's a lot of teamwork at Sherman College that's all deserves credit. And I will say his vision was really a catalyst that was important for Sherman College, and not many people realize that. But I was in the room, and I know the conversations that took place. I know who was egging things on and nudging them forward. And he really deserves a lot of credit for where Sherman is now and inspiring the team that did assemble and did the great work that they did.
Yeah, Danny, I watched the Super Bowl go past, and one of the things as I watched this whole boring game at the end on, but what I thought after watching the whole evening is the after part when they interviewed all these different players, and my takeaway was very, very, very clear. Is that when the people that were interviewing him would go to a player, and I don't care if it was Brady or the MVP or whatever it is, they were very, very, very careful not to bask in the glory and their ego, but to keep coming back and saying it's a team, we're a team, we're a team, we're a team. And when you look at Belichick and you look at it, what the culture he was able to do is to put together a team, and they act as a team, and it's never about the individual, the glory of whoever, but as a team, and that's brought him to success. So when I look at it, I look at Liam who is part of the team. Did a lot, yourself, Joe Borio. I mean, we could name the whole trustees. You worked as a team to get this accomplished. Ed Cordero, Neil, like there had to be a team because not one person did it. But I would have loved to have seen. I'm a little disappointed in that, my good friend Liam wasn't invited or didn't show up or wasn't at the ribbon cutting ceremony. I really feel as a team member, he should have got that Super Bowl ring as well.
I agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly. And I know that the person that he is, he was just as grateful being away as he would have been there, because he's he's one of the signs of greatness in people is that they're okay with being invisible. Like, the Berkshires, you take a back seat and you want to see everybody else and have a good time, and the speakers highlight. And if this can go off without a hitch, without highlighting yourself, you feel rewarded. And I know that way about Mile High. I know Liam feels that way about Sherman. He's happy with the job well done. So I'm grateful for all the work that he's done.
But the next part of it, Danny, is that, and this is my plea to the profession, if you will. Look, I know you've raised a lot of money, so have we. We've created amazing young speakers. I mean, you look at people like Amy Haas and Bruce and, Monique Andrews that really had that opportunity. We saw that, you saw that, to bring greater exposure to them, again, as a team. And, my plea, if people would ask me, what they could do, go to things like Mile High where you're doing amazing work. What most people don't see on the backside is all the work and the level of commitment that we have and what we put up, in terms of having to sign a contract with a hotel, having to have a fee, and going through a donation, that we're guaranteeing. And you look at it, and look, my plea would be for the profession is, do something, or, register for Mile High today if that's closer to you. Come to the Berkshires, support us out. Do something to help us help you, right? Because we're all a team, right? That's what it boils down to, is that, I'm not the Tom Brady, you're not the Tom Brady, of chiropractic. We're all team members. You're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. But it's a team effort where our profession is going to benefit through, like you had mentioned before, Oakley Haven, ICPA, Foundation for Vertebral Subluxation, Sherman College, the IFCO, all these wonderful things that we've donated to. Look, that money actually has to come from somewhere. Be part of the team. Come and check us out. Be part of our community. Show up, register. Like, that's the only thing I want people to do. And you know what? Even this year, Danny, I told people, you know what? You come. If you don't have a good time, you don't get value of it, I'm happy enough to give you money. I'll take it out of my own pocket after the donation, and I'll give you your money back, because I really want to stimulate people to not be procrastinators, not sit on the fence, but literally get out there and say, you know what? When I support Mile High, I'm supporting chiropractic, and I stand behind it. Not that they're supporting Danny, not that Danny has the best seminar out there, but they're actually supporting chiropractic, because at the end of it, I remember when you started, and that's where your heart was. You know what? Colorado was in trouble. You needed to actually have more of a political voice. You gathered these people together. You know what? I know what it was like to do that and the stress that you went through. And look, if I could be transparent, we spoke earlier, for a couple of minutes before you got on. And, one of the things that I want to do somehow is support you in making your life easy. You've had, a rough run, the last year. And, you've put your heart and soul into it. And people, I've watched people write amazing things to you. But if they don't do something to take actions to really stand behind you and support you, then they're just words, right? Let's see people really step up to the plate. And let's say people, you know what, I'm going to support Danny with my dollars as opposed to nice words. And I'm not saying that the nice words weren't, heartfelt and deep. But look, and maybe people get off and be pissed at me for saying this. Who cares? But I would really like to see people stand up and support you and what you've done, honestly.
Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. And that means a lot to me. And it means a lot to me to see all that you do through the Berkshires. And see, that's the thing, that all the ships rise together. We need to see that in chiropractic overall. And I know when I first saw the Berkshires event, you might have put a post or maybe messaged me, can I share this? It helps Sherman. And I didn't know what it was. I was like, who is this? And why is this who's helping Sherman? And sure, I will. And, I didn't quite know what was going on. But that spoke so much to me that there was a person doing that, because here's why. I want people to pay attention to this very closely. In fact, maybe of anything you pay attention to in this podcast, I'm going to ask you to pay attention to what I'm about to say, which is this. I have spent a lot of dollars with seminars and coaches that I revered, and that I got a lot of value at, and I still appreciate what they did for me. And then I realized when I was on Sherman College, I saw these people that were doing very well financially weren't on the donor list for Sherman College. They weren't members of the IFCO. Yeah. They weren't supporters of Oklahaven or the ICPA. In fact, I know they made a lot of money off the programs, which were quality programs. I think they were great, right. And people I'm all for people being profitable. But then I noticed that the same people were not giving back to chiropractic in some way. And you don't have to give to every organization, but, tithe, talent, treasures, if chiropractic gives you so much, give to it in some way. Versus that you see, well, you made $1,000 a person on a program, and then did you do anything with that for chiropractic? And I'm all for you being profitable, but maybe donate to a college that's doing something good, right. And I'd see them not even on the list or not do anything at all.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, I totally agree. And, my good friend Sean Dill says, the support is conditional.
Right.
And I used to think, look, I don't give things with strings attached. But, what I really became more aware of, that Sean happened to be right. It wasn't my, I don't do tit for tat. You do for me, I do for you. It's conditional. But I also thought, what? If some of these organizations, these vendors, these, people that, host events or coaches, and they're not actually somehow giving back to the profession, well, my support is conditional. I'm not going to actually show up at those events. I'm not going to have those speakers actually at my seminar. I'm going to support, and you think about it. And let me just tell you this, Danny, because I always talk about the speakers. but I never really actually acknowledge, some of the vendors and the sponsors that come to my event. CLA is doing it forever. David Fletcher steps up to the thing, to the plate and says, you know what, I am in. This year we have Review Wave. Heartland's been a constant supporter. This year we have Chiro Health USA. Chiropractic is a great one. Mike Tokash for 2020. Close for Chiros. Black Diamond Club, and it goes on. You know what? I'm going to join that group. So I'm going to be in Black Diamond Club. I'm going to actually go ahead and join, and I have, close for Chiros. And even if I can't keep up with all that information, I'm supporting them because it's those people that are actually putting their dollars back in to make the whole thing work. And so, in the lore of the vacuum, when you're not putting back into the system, eventually it evaporates. And so somehow, if you're not going to go ahead and actually show up at the event, great, got it. Grandma passed away. We're having a child, whatever, totally got it. Send a student, become a sponsor, become a vendor, do something so that we are a team.
Yeah.
Team wins, team chiropractic, right?
Yep, exactly. And for example, you mentioned Sean Dill, and there's not just finance, right? But there's energy. People put energy into the profession also. So sometimes, like, they do put money and energy, which I know Sean does, I know Liam does, and myself. And then sometimes people don't have the resources financially, but you can see their energy is getting into the profession,
sure.
Through an organization. And that speaks volumes. And, there's always something more that you can do for chiropractic. And when people are putting money and energy in, then I want to support them because I know we need them in tech, right? Yeah. And that's who we want to have speakers and vendors, and who we're going to be custodians of chiropractic by who we put on stage and who we are involved with. So yeah. I want to, again, hats off to you for all you do for the Berkshires. People, be at that, tickevent.com, the weekend of March 21st to 23rd. Be there and support chiropractic and support the vision of, more people on more tables more often and humanity changing, through chiropractic. Scott, is there any closing words you'd like to say about the Berkshires?
Yeah, look, it's going to be a phenomenal event. Again, we have an amazing amount of people registered. We have some really fun stuff going on. We have a luncheon going on. I think you might have been at it, Danny, in sushi. So this wasn't Scott's idea. I just thought, you know what? I'd love to have more people exposed to this. They had a luncheon where Close for Chiros, the sales team was actually going ahead against Black Diamond Club, the marketing team. And
I was there. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. And so they did that the first time. They just had a rematch. So first time Black Diamond won. Second time Close for Chiro won. So this is the ultimate battle royal. This is for the belt. This
is kind of like Rocky 3.
Yes.
It's the rematch. Well, so excellent. Well, I'm grateful for all you do for chiropractic. Closing, be at the events and participate with the organizations and the vendors that actually are pushing the needle forward towards TIC. Berkshires is a vital one. tickevent.com, and also Mile High, August 15th to 18th, other end of the year, www.milehighchiroregistration.com. If you enjoy the Mile High podcast, hit subscribe, share it, tell other people to learn more about chiropractic through the Mile High podcast. We look forward to seeing you at Mile High.
Love you, Danny. Thanks.
Like our page on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Mile High Chiro.